Pickles? Pickles? What you doing there? Are you cleaning yourself? Huh? What's up, guys? Dylan coming at you here. So the past, I would say, month and a half or so, I've been on an achievement binge. Basically getting any and all games. I've been maybe a little bit of competition with some of my other friends. Basically, a month and a half ago, I started out with a little under 15,000 gamer score. And now I have like 44,441, if you can see that. I don't know if it's focusing or not. But anyways, that's what, 30,000? Close to 30,000 gamer score. So I'm going to show you all the games that I've been playing to crank up my gamer score. It's been pretty fun. Some of the games are terrible. Some of them are good. Some of them are the indie games that aren't, you know, so satisfying. And some of them are, you know, whatever. But I'm basically going to show you them all. I think there's 32 in all. I may be wrong. Correct me in the comments. Tell me I'm an idiot. Whatever. But here we go. Right into it. Top 32 games for achievements. Okay, so let's get right into it. First one is going to be Qbot, The Complexity of Simplicity. This one took me about, I would say, 30 to 45 minutes with a guide. It's a pretty complex game, but with a guide it walks you through the whole thing, easy peasy, under an hour. Energy Cycle is the same thing. Use a guide. It's a pattern kind of based game. Well under an hour, probably a half an hour at most. 1,000 gamer score. IDARB, I think it took me about an hour to an hour and a half. You do see there I missed one achievement. I think that was the Twitter bot. You have to have Twitter. I just couldn't get that one to pop. I wasn't worried too much about it since it was only 25 of the gamer score. But yeah, hour to an hour and a half. Pretty sure it's pretty cheap too as well. If you have Xbox Game Pass, it's free. Horse Racing 2016. Not one of the better games. I can't say I didn't have fun with it though. Pretty easy 1,000 gamer score. I think it took me between 2 and 3 hours, probably closer to 3, to get this one. It's kind of a silly game, but I had fun with it, but still it was kind of repetitious and whatnot. But yeah, about 3 hours. Mr. Pumpkin Adventure, this one I followed a guide with. It's a point and click game. It's kind of odd. It's interesting though. Keeps you at least going. Not too boring, but probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours to complete this game. 3/4 Home Extended Edition, extremely boring, but it was an easy 1,000 gamer score. I think it took about 2 hours to do. Again, very boring. NBA 2K6, I just picked that one up. This, you know, you gotta have a 360 as well for some of these games. NBA 2K6 took me about a half an hour. Half of that was setting up the settings for the game to make it easier, and then you basically can get all the achievements very easily. There's only 5 totaling the 1,000 gamer score. Next is going to be Level 22. It's kind of it's like a new age 8-bit game, but it's pretty fun. It's about a guy trying to stick it to the boss in his office and whatnot. But yeah, that one took me about probably 3 hours, I would say. 3 to 4 hours. It kind of pissed me off a little bit at times, but it was good enough and fairly easy 1,000 gamer score. Monochroma, that was an interesting side-scroller, kind of limbo-ish type of game. It was decent. Probably took about an hour and a half to 2 hours to do that one. 1,000 gamer score. Ben-Hur, I got pissed the hell off at this game, so I went ahead and just stopped at 550 gamer score. But apparently, I've heard of people getting the full 1,000 in under a half an hour. But yeah, definitely not a good game, and yeah, but it is free. So, okay, next up we have 6180 to the Moon. This is a pretty fun game. It probably takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours to 1,000 gamer score. It's a pretty fun, if you just have, you know, spare time, it's one of those games. It's pretty fun. I highly recommend it. The Fall, that is, let me think, pretty sure that's a side-scrolling game. I followed a guide. 6180 to the Moon, you do not need a guide. That's why I liked it so much, is because, you know, it's just an easy 1,000 gamer score and you can kind of go at your own leisure. The Fall, you definitely will need a guide for. But it's pretty fun. I highly recommend that one as well. It's kind of a quirky indie game. Next is Roblox. I have not gotten the 1,000 gamer score for this yet, but it is pretty easy. Most of it is playing for 20 consecutive days. That only involves loading it to the main screen. You don't have to actually play the game itself necessarily. You just load it to the main screen for 20 days straight, and you unlock most of the achievements. The others that are kind of miscellaneous, they're pretty easy to get. Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you're looking for easy gamer score, you've probably heard of this one. It's on 360. I got it from GameStop used. I think it was 10 bucks. You literally load the game. It takes probably 5 minutes all in all from the time the game loads up to the time you get a 1,000 gamer score. Next up is Fight Night Round 3. That one took me probably about 5 hours, honestly. I've heard of people, they said it was real easy and they got it under like 2 or 3 hours. It took me about, I think, 4 to 5 hours, somewhere around there. It was kind of frustrating because I lost my progress, or at least I didn't know how to load it halfway through. So just watch that if you're playing it, if you pick this one up. King Kong, all you have to do literally is play through the game. There's only 9 achievements. Play through the game. It was kind of brutal as far as, you know, the graphics were actually, I mean, for a 360 game, still just terrible, and the game itself just wasn't that good. But if you can suffer through the 5 hours or so, 4 to 5 hours I would say, to beat the game, if not 4 to 6, I'll say that, I don't want to underestimate. But yeah, if you can suffer through that, it's an easy 1,000 gamer score. Lost Viadomus, you do have to follow a guide for some of these achievements, especially the ones in the room where you enter the numbers. Those can be a little tricky, so you'll need a guide, but this, if you're a Lost fan, highly recommend it. Cell Damage HD, I just got this one, but it is a pretty easy 1,000 gamer score. I read up on it. It takes about 5 hours, but if you are familiar with this game, like myself, and have played this, and it's quite a throwback, so I imagine it'll be quite worth it, even though it's a little bit more lengthy than the others. Next up, you got The Bourne Conspiracy on Xbox 360. Again, if you're a Bourne fan of the movies, I highly recommend this game. It was pretty fun. Definitely follow a guide, because there is a workaround as far as the difficulty. You have to basically switch between difficulties at the end of every mission. It's a little tricky to get all of them in one playthrough, and likely you won't. You'll have to go back, but you can go back through chapter select, so you won't have to play the whole game again. But yeah, fairly easy 1,000 gamer score, and it's really fun, especially if you're a Bourne fan. So, next up, this one's a little mini game. This is backwards compatible for Xbox One. Sonic the Fighters. It was on sale pretty cheap. I think it was like $2 or something like that. Not too long ago, but yeah, it takes about half an hour or so to 1,000 gamer score. Next up is a kind of spiritistic side scroller. It's okay. I thought it was kind of boring. Basically, I think the premise of it is like your father gets trapped by a ghost or something like that. I don't know. You'll definitely have to follow a guide though to get all the achievements in one playthrough, but all in all, pretty easy. Takes about an hour and a half to get the full 1,000. You'll see a couple more of these towards the end. ACA Neo Geo games, World Heroes. This one took me about a half an hour. It was one of the easier ones. The other ones are a little bit harder just because they're kind of glitchy. But yeah, this one is very good. It'll should be easy for anyone. About a half an hour, like I said, to get a full 1,000 gamer score. And next up is The Walking Dead, the complete first season. This one, the Walking Dead games, along with most other Telltale games like The Wolf Among Us, which isn't on this list, that's another good one as well, I guess. But yeah, they take about 10 hours or so, this one does. So, but it's pretty easy, 1,000 gamer score. All you gotta do is play the game. There's no missable achievements, except in the 400 Days DLC. Sorry about that. There is, I think, 2 missable achievements, so you will need a guide for that with the DLC only. Next up is The Swapper. This is another sort of puzzle side-scroller. Very cool game. Honestly, I kind of wish I would have went through this with without a guide, but it was cool nonetheless, even with one. Get all the puzzles. Takes about an hour and a half to get the 1,000 gamer score. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. You actually don't have to beat this game to get the 1,000 gamer score. Close to the end, I think before even the last chapter, you do get all the 1,000 gamer score. You'll definitely need a guide. It takes about 3 hours to get all the 1,000 gamer score. This one is also free on Xbox Games Pass as well. The Walking Dead Michonne, that's 1,000 gamer score. I think there's 3 episodes. It takes about 3 hours though to get the 1,000 gamer score, so it's a lot shorter than your regular Telltale game, and like I said, 1,000 gamer score, pretty easy, and honestly probably one of my favorite Telltale games that I've played. Another ACA Neo Geo. We got 2 here. The Last Blade, that one was a little frustrating, but it was not as frustrating as Samurai Showdown. This one here, The Last Blade, probably took about an hour to get. Samurai Showdown, that one took probably about an hour and a half. That Samurai Showdown got very frustrating. It's easy, it doesn't take that much time, but it's so infuriating because, I don't know, just going back to that style of game, it's very choppy, and maybe they're just not good ports, I don't know, but kind of infuriating at times. Next up is Refunct. This game is pretty good. I think it's only $3 on the store. That's just its regular price. It's not even on sale or anything. This one takes probably about 2 hours or so. Hour and a half to 2 hours to 1,000 gamer score. And if you think the under 4 minutes achievement is daunting, just play over and over and over again. Honestly, I kind of had fun with this game. It's a fun little mini game. Like I said, hour and a half, 2 hours, 1,000 gamer score. The Walking Dead Season 2, which I have not finished. There are 0 missable achievements in this one. But yeah, it takes about 10 hours itself to do the 1,000 gamer score. And we have Forza Horizon 2 presents Fast and Furious. Right now, when this video is going up, the Forza Horizon 2 is actually on sale for $2.50. They were free in the past, so if you do have it and you haven't played it, this might be the time to do it. It takes about okay, so the 360 version is actually a lot more difficult. Several of the missions aren't even in the Xbox One version. They took them out because they are ridiculously difficult. They can be anyways. I know it took me several times, probably 15 times to do one mission over and over again on the 360 version. All in all though, I think the 360 version took me about 4 hours to 1,000 gamer score. The Xbox One version, on the other hand, took me 2 hours, if that tells you anything. Next up is my latest game that I just 1,000 gamer scored, is ACA Neo Geo Galaxy Fight Universal Warriors. This game was so infuriating. It was the most infuriating ACA Neo Geo game I've played yet. It was ridiculous. One of the achievements actually glitched, so that was annoying, but hey, it probably took about 2 hours full gameplay time to get this one. I would definitely recommend a guide on this. I think you can find it on True Achievements, I believe, or no, Xbox Achievements. There is a guide for this. Look that up because it will help out a little bit. As far as other guides, you don't really need one for Forza Horizon 2. It's not that difficult. The hardest achievements for these are I think there's a 50,000 chain skill on Xbox One. I'll go and explain it now. Basically, go to the airport strip. If you're going to play this game, go to the airport strip and basically do E-drifts all up and down the strip until you hit the amount of points you need. That'll give you what is the hardest achievement in the game, which isn't even that hard. Alright guys, so if you like the video, like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, Twitter, Instagram, links in the description, and come back for more. I might have another helpful video for you. I mostly play on PlayStation actually. Not here lately, but I mostly do. Most of my third-party games shit I actually play on PlayStation, so I might do a few videos for that in the future. But until then, peace. And Pickles, what do you think? Huh? What do you think? Peace.